So here we are at Serverless Days Belgrade, talking with Milan. Tell us something about yourself and your company, and how do you enjoy serverless?
Yeah, for sure. So I'm Milan, as you mentioned. I'm coming from the DEVersity. It's a development agency. We do client work, and most of our products and most of our systems run on AWS. We really enjoy running serverless applications. That's the latest project that we are working on. So yeah, it's great to be here on a conference like this with so many influential
great
people. Yeah, great people.
Tell us about the tools you use now. We talked before, and I know that you have some experience in that. Can you tell us about your experience with some rapid development tools?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, when it comes to serverless, there's definitely a learning curve there. But every day there are new services, especially from AWS, that really lower that curve or make it less steep, so to say. So one of the services is definitely AWS Amplify. It's definitely a go-to tool if you want to develop some sort of a client application very quickly, very rapidly. Because it practically does all the backend for you. So that's the one of the services that we really enjoy using and mixing with other AWS resources.
So how do you feel now that we have so many different tools like CDK, CloudFormation, so many different ways to do the same thing, but at the end it's not the same. What would be the first thing for someone coming into serverless to go? Should that be the Amplify? Should we go that way?
That really depends on what's your end goal. Why are you starting to do serverless? Current landscape is a little bit chaotic because, as you mentioned, there are a lot of services, there are a lot of Amazon products like CDK. It's a fantastic solution for writing infrastructure as code, but as higher level code, TypeScript, JavaScript, Java, whatever you want. But for instance, you currently cannot really use it with, for instance, Amplify, because they haven't really made that integration just yet. So I think that you should really consider what your application is about and what you are doing, and that's going to determine what you're going to use. So if you want to write a front-end application that's heavy on the front end and only has sort of a data storage layer in the back end, then Amplify is the go-to tool. If you want to run Lambdas, which don't necessarily have an elaborate front end, then you're probably currently best with AWS SAM, because it has deployments features and stuff that still isn't in the CDK. But for everything else, I would start with CDK. That's.
I also suggest reading all these books that our Serbian serverless heroes made.
Yes.
That's maybe the best starting point. There is a new book from Gojko Adzic about serverless, and that's a nice starting book.
Yeah, exactly. I read that book. The first time I started reading it, the CDK was already out, and at the first part of the book, I was thinking to myself, oh, this may be not that relevant anymore because CDK is out and it changes everything. But when you go through the end of it, you realize that there are a lot of features that are still not built in the CDK. And it is powerful, it looks great, but there are still features missing from the SAM. Those two are probably going to merge at one point, but currently SAM is more powerful when you want to go to production with Lambdas as opposed to CDK.
You delivered a great talk at our meetup about security and how to implement it the best way in AWS. With the CDK, it's even more simplified. That's probably the way to go. And instead of writing by yourself, thinking about everything, so developers should use these tools probably. And avoid learning so much.
Yeah, exactly. Security is a big part of why would you use CDK instead of going with some other solutions, because the greatest obstacle when you start using AWS in general is learning about all the security policies that you need to implement, the IAM rules and and that stuff. So CDK really makes that very easy, especially if you combine it with strongly typed languages, where you can get the code completion, IntelliSense in all of the major IDEs, and they have the Grant API where you can, in a very clear way, allow your services to interact with each other. So I think it's a great solution.
Thank you for the conversation. We have a lot more conversations. Enjoy
Thank you
your
very much.
conference.
Thank you.